Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about today, after you've met with your interviewers,
Yes.
is do I like the people I've met?
Yes, because when you meet the people, and again, it's not just the one singular interview, it is multiple interviews. So throughout the many interactions that you have, you can almost sense how they work with one another. You can hear what they are saying or what they're not saying. So
saying
the
as
hiring
well.
manager, another manager, a peer, the GM, the head of operations, or all the various stakeholders that you're going to be meeting who are possibly going to be working with you if you take this job. You can hear, you can almost sense the dynamics among themselves within the hiring committee.
And also, you can have a feel of it. So I had this client once. She went for the interview at the office, and the moment she stepped in, she found that the receptionist was very cold towards her,
No.
a bit rude.
Why?
Okay, and she walked
Bad
in.
day.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people in the office look very depressed and very sullen. And at the discussion itself, it went okay. And she was coming out. She felt a lot of people there were just lacking in energy.
It could just be a bad day. Maybe they had some bad news. I think we need to then confirm and validate whether
Or maybe
or
there's
not.
something in the air there that's making everyone.
Maybe the water is
the
bad.
water is bad.
Right.
But it was a very negative feeling, and she said, "I was not comfortable in that environment."
And did she go back for a second round to confirm that this is the case?
She did.
Yes.
Okay, and yes, it was the case. The culture there was very quiet, very sullen, very somber. She said it felt like a library that's situated next to a mortuary
Funeral parlor.
or a funeral parlor. It's like that was the feel she got, and she didn't like it, so she declined it. So she didn't like the feel, the culture of the people there, just through the interviews, and they liked her, but she decided I was not going to do it.
Yeah. And when you read the environment, and we say read, we're not asking you to open your third eye or anything or look for like the senses. But remember, we had that client who went for an interview on a Sunday afternoon, and the place was buzzing.
Well, that's the flip side of it.
Everyone was working. That it was full on busy
Yeah.
on a Sunday afternoon. Something's wrong, the kind of environment as well.
Yeah, unless
and-
you're a workaholic, then something's right.
So it's a good thing if you are interviewing to walk into the place of work to get a sense of the environment, and also to interact with as many people as possible. So if anyone says, gosh, there's so many rounds, you have to attend like 5 rounds of interviewing, it's a good thing because you get a chance to meet more
true.
people and you get to read the environment a lot better.
What happens if you meet the boss and you don't like him?
In those situations, it again could be just a bad day. I think I would do a reverse reference check on the boss.
Explain.
So I'd call up other people who have had interactions with said individual and ask them, like, how was your interaction with this person? What's it like to work with him or her? Just ask anyone if they've ever interacted with such a person.
Story time, huh?
Story time.
So I've actually had once in my career, early part of my career, I was the boss from another department wanted to interview me, and I went for that interview. I stepped in. Immediately, he was. To be fair, I was a young, fresh guy, third year into work. Fresh, okay. And he interviewed. He said, "Oh, okay. Hang on, I got something to do." He turned his back to me. I was in his room. He just continued his email for 17 minutes.
Ooh.
And I just continued his email. And I was sitting there, I was thinking like, is this a test? Is this a test? Okay.
Probably is.
I'm going to pretend it's a test and I'm just going to see how long it's going to take. I timed it was 17 minutes.
That's
and
very
then
long.
He turned to me and he said, no apologies. He said, okay, tell me about yourself.
Wow.
Later I found out that it was not a test. It's just like that. He just does not respect your time.
Right.
And it's all about him. And he feels he's doing you a favor. So
By
even
gifting
yeah.
his time to you.
Yeah, and I felt it was very uncomfortable.
Very
and
disrespectful.
I actually declined that role, even though it was a bigger portfolio. And I declined because I didn't like the idea of working for someone who was.
Is
gonna
this
treat-
person directly your direct
No, my
report?
direct boss, the new direct boss to be.
Right,
So I was
right.
not
So
just
it was
not comfortable.
It was something that you're gonna have to someone that you have to interact with every day.
Yes, as a new boss. So I was very uncomfortable that someone made you sit down there for 17 minutes, back turned to you, typing, and and
I think this is
terrible.
not just an interview thing. I think all meetings should respect everyone's time.
I agree.
I remember having a meeting with someone who as he thought and tried to put his mind and bring his thoughts together, he had his eyes closed. So for half the meeting, his eyes were shut.
You're sleeping.
No, he was talking. He was talking, and I just sat there and I stared at
It
him.
just could be a
like
tick.
this. Again,
I don't know.
it's strange.
Okay, if you're not comfortable, yeah.
So I guess what we're trying to say is at the end of every interview,
Mm-hmm.
you'd want to think about whether or not you liked the boss, the team, the culture.
Mm-hmm.
If you do get a chance for an interview, you have to take it,
Yeah.
especially if it's at the office premises. And if you get an offer for a role without ever having been to the place of work, then you have to make a decision with very little information.
Or if you're made an offer without having met the boss because he hasn't come in yet, that's another
That
thing
has happened as
That's
well.
happened too. So you got to
Yeah.
be careful about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not necessarily a red flag if, say, the entire team is remote, so there is no office.
yeah.
Then it's a different decision. But if you know that they have a place of work, and this happened to a client, and they've interviewed you twice, but always offsite at some coffee shop or some cafe twice, and then there was an offer without ever inviting you to their place of work, I'd be
So what was the outcome for that one? Was it okay, or was like the office haunted, or?
no. He didn't accept the offer in the end because when the offer came, it wasn't what was promised.
Okay, so what if it was what was promised, but
I
they
don't
haven't
know.
seen it?
I advised
maybe
my
maybe
client.
the coffee, you have to try the office coffee. If the office coffee is not up to your standard,
Some offices don't have coffee.
then that's not the place to work. So you got to
Either
reject.
way, I advise my client before signing on the offer to at least visit the office.
I think so.
You know, you walk in and you can tell, is it busy? Are people happy? Do they look? Is there energy?
Are there cobwebs?
Are there phones ringing? Because those are always good signs that business is humming along. You know,
Yeah, I know.
you know, I join a place that
I know.
feels
I once
like
I once stepped in an
cemetery.
office that was 3/4 empty, and I got very worried. So
Maybe it was a team bonding session.
no,
offsite.
it's empty. It's totally vacant.
Okay.
So they were
sounds-
the aftermath of a retrenchment exercise.
Or
So
possibly it's just a frontage.
money
something
laundering
else
front. I
that's
have no idea.
happening.
So after the meeting, that's one of the first things you do. Just treat it as a dipstick reading, whether or not there's a place you want to be. Now,
I think you want to check in with other people as well, just to confirm your impressions.
true.
The best people to give you information are people who used to work there. So find someone who left a year ago, 2 years ago. Just get some insight